Today, I dive straight into the Flames of War German Infantry, which was part of the 21st Panzer box set kindly sent to me by the team at Battlefront. This video will cover everything from the uniform, the Splinter Camo helmet covers, as well as how I paint flesh. Be sure to let me know below what part of the 21st Panzer box set you would like to see painted next. Today we are going to tackle the first part of the 21st Panzer box set that I received from Chris at Flames of War. So this box set can be found under D-Day German on the online store. It's actually still for sale, so if you've been umming and ahhing whether you can grab this set, I'd highly recommend grabbing it soon, because I think it is also going to be disappearing at some point in the not too distant future. You can also find the infantry in question under Germany Infantry and Infantry Platoon, as well as some other different types of infantry, but this painting guide is pretty much going to be applicable for all of that. But let's get straight to it. So to start off with, I'm going to prime my model with Tamiya Surface Primer Light Grey. The reason I'm doing this is because I'm going to be painting and then washing the figure, and I want to use a light primer colour to make some of the lighter colours pop a little bit better. And then for the base of the German uniform, I'm using AK Field Grey, which is obviously from AK Interactive. Vallejo also offer a German uniform colour, which is pretty much very similar in colour. So if you want to use that as an alternative, because you're not easily got access to AK paints, then that might be a good route to go. And then for some of the equipment he's got, I use US dark green. So for example, that could be his gas mask canister, also the other bits of metal canisters that he's got on him. If he's got leaves on his helmet, which this particular guy does, I'm going to paint them in US dark green as well. You can also use this color if you want to skip some of the other colors, lighter greens and that I'm going to be showing you later on, if you want to just sort of keep the paints reduced to a minimum. But just trying to change up the greens really does help, as well as ammo crates as well. I've painted them in US dark green. Once we've done that, we can go ahead and paint the sleeping bag that he's got on his back there in khaki. You can also use the Splinter colors that we're going to see later on, because yes, I am going to cover Splinter, but I'm using khaki for this one, as well as going to be painting his rifle strap in khaki too. So you can see I'm trying to be as neat as possible at this stage, because the more neat you are, just the less cleanup you have to do, and it's just a little bit less work that you need to worry about. So as I said, we're going to hit that rifle strap now, and these models are really nicely detailed, so they're pretty easy to paint. Once we've done that, we can hit the water bottle with English uniform, and it's literally just two sides to it, and just leave the middle part with the strap coming down, because we're going to be painting that inner little bit. So just try and get that water bottle as best you can. You can see I'm just taking my time, making sure I can get it nicely. Now for the gaiters, I use Russian Uniform World War II. This is also a really good colour for the bread bag, but as you can see, it's just another green. So if you really wanted to just skip this step, you can just use US dark green, or you can use Russian Uniform World War II in exchange for that US dark green. So you can really pick what you want to do, but if you can vary the shades of green, it just helps your model pop just a little bit more, and it looks like you've put in just a little bit more effort to try and make some of that equipment look slightly different in tone. And then for the wood, we use flat earth. So this guy's got a rifle, and it's got lots of details on there where it breaks away into the rifle metallic parts, so try and capture the wood parts as best you can. And obviously leave the metal parts for just a little while. Also, if he's got any other wooden equipment, like his shovel that you can see in shot there, we're going to be painting that in that colour. If he's got a bayonet holder, I'm going to be painting it in the same colour as well. And then for those metal parts, I use black grey. So you can see that there's just a bit of wood between the barrel and this part of the barrel that I'm painting now, so just try and make sure that you're capturing that. I always look at reference photos on Google just to make sure that I'm actually capturing the way the weapon should be looking. And then for the webbing, I use black. Again, you can use black grey if you really want to save on paints, but black is just a little bit better because we're going to be going over that with black grey as part of a layer or a final highlight. So that's the top of the water bottle, the webbing, the boots, and any like rifle pouches. You can also go with like a really dark brown if you wanted to, but I think black's just a little bit more common for this particular part of the war and the uniform that these guys were wearing. Now we want to give our models a really good go with a wash. So I'm using no oil and technical medium at a 1:1 ratio. So it's just basically the no oil thinners, and it's just toning that black down quite a bit, and it really goes nicely in the recesses, and then on the flat surface it looks more like a shade, as long as you don't let it pool, which just means you just have a real big build up and you just want to make sure you brush that around nicely. And then it's all about going back over with the colours we've gone through. So this is the first layer. We're using AK Field Grey base again, and you can see that I'm just picking out all the raised areas and making sure that that darker washed base colour is left in the recesses, so you can pick out all the details. And I've tried to leave this particular part of the video focusing primarily on the uniform just a little bit longer, so hence why the video is like almost 20 minutes. It's because I just want to take a little bit longer so you guys can see what I'm actually talking about. And these plastic models have lots and lots of detail on, so it's a big credit to Battlefront. I'm not a big plastic fan, but these are really nice actually. I was impressed with these, more impressed than I thought I would be. Now we're going to go with the final highlights. We use AK Field Grey base and Green Grey, both from AK Interactive. You can find as part of their Field Grey set or their German uniform set, and you can see now it's all about picking out those really raised details, and that's about it. So I'm picking up the collar there, the tops of the pockets, the creases in the trousers and the tunic. You can see in this shot that I'm really just picking out all those raised areas, and I'm slowly scratching on. I'm not putting any big blobs of paint on the tip of my paintbrush. I'm just letting the paintbrush do the work. So with that done, we can now go over some of the equipment. So Russian uniform again for that bread bag. You can see I'm just painting on the detail there because this is our first layer, and then we'll hit it with a highlight in a little bit. So we're doing the bread bag, and then we're going to move on to his gaiters. And the gaiters are really nicely detailed, so I'm just adding in little lines here and there, and the little bit buckles that attach each part of the gaiter. Then for the highlight, we use Russian uniform World War II and German camo beige at a 1:1 ratio. And it's all about picking out those raised edges. You see with the bread bag, it's literally two lines where the two bits of that bread bag separate. Same with the gaiters, you can literally add on just one line at the bottom or one line at the top, or two lines, whatever you want to do. Just little details here and there just to draw the eye into the details in that particular part that really do stand out. Now for those US dark green parts, we're going to use US dark green again. So you can see that this particular guy is carrying a ammo crate. So we're just going to be painting in the majority of the color. So you can see that I'm leaving the darker base color on the very outer edge there. And I'm really pooling, making sure that that paint's not pooling. And I'm adding in sufficient amount of paint to make it really pop. And then to highlight it, we use US dark green and German camo beige World War II at a 1:1 ratio. So you can see that my highlight colors are all using the same German camo beige for these greens. It just really does help. You can see that it's just starting to pick out. So I'm picking out the raised edges, the very corners of that particular box and the handle, and then scratch on just little tiny details here and there just to really make it pop a bit more. With that done, we can then go ahead and hit the water bottle with English uniform or the canteen again, and that's literally just a blob on each side. It's not really much you can do. and then khaki grey just to highlight that. So you just add a little line on one side, a little line on the other, and it's done. Then with that done, we can now move on to khaki. So khaki is obviously for the rifle straps. You can see I'm painting the detail in the rifle strap. So I'm painting each side of that rifle strap, trying to leave that darker base color in the middle, just to sort of simulate that it's folded in on itself, or folded out, whatever you want to call it. I suppose if it's folded out, then you're going to highlight that so it's folded in on itself. And then to highlight that, I use khaki stone grey at a 1:1 ratio. And now it's all about control of the paintbrush and just getting those very outer edges. So then with that, we can move on to the wood. So flat earth is what I use, and my method is very, very straightforward. It is literally what I call the scratching on method. There's no painting or anything. I'm literally just scratching on lines here because I'm going to try and simulate like wood grains. Yes, it's a very small scale, so you're really not going to see them at this scale, but I think it's still a technique that works really nicely for this. Then with that, we can go ahead and hit flat earth and orange brown at a 1:1 ratio. And this isn't the final highlight, believe it or not. This is another layer that I'm doing here, and again, it's just scratching on. So this process takes very little time at all, but it can really make your rifle pop. There is details there, so just make sure you're obviously not losing control with the scratching that you're doing. But yeah, the technique is really straightforward. And then finally, for the final highlight, we use orange brown. This orange brown is just a really bright color, just to make certain parts of that rifle pop a bit more. So you see I'm just scratching in little details here and there, really going lightly now, and you can also water it down a touch if you want to. And then for the metal, so on the MG42 now we're using black grey. You're just painting in the majority of it again, but obviously leaving those recesses with the dark base colour of that black grey. It turns more of like a really dark grey opposed to a black grey, so that's what you want. And then you can go ahead and hit the webbing as well. So we painted that black, but now we're going to just give it a highlight. There's nothing else we can do with the webbing, just going to give it a highlight of black grey. So if you had like rifle pouches, you can highlight those as well, and everything else. And then for the rifle and the MG and the guns, anything metal, we're using black grey and basalt grey at a 1:1 ratio to highlight. There's plenty of detail on these weapons as well, so there's lots of things that you can highlight to really make them stand out a lot more. You could give it a dry brush of silver if you really wanted to, but I've really gone off putting silver on my miniatures just because I think it looks a little bit unrealistic, unless it's like a really obviously shiny silver sort of weapon. Then for the Panzerfaust, I use Middlestone. So obviously we would have painted it in Middlestone, given it a wash, and I'm just going back over it in Middlestone. And this is it. I'm not going to do any other crazy highlights or another round of layers. I'm just going to give it a go of Middlestone and just slowly get all that detail to pop. You can see it's already popping without really having to do much. Then with that done, I use the AK Splitter Muster base. It's part of their Splinter camo set, but you can buy these paints individually. So I would have painted his helmet cover in this colour, and now given it a wash, and now I'm going back over it. There's plenty of detail in this helmet cover as well, so just slowly scratch it on and build up to the colour and the brightness that you're trying to achieve here. But we are going to give it another layer of a brighter colour, just to really make it pop just a little bit more, because it might be a little bit too dark for this scale. So in order to do that, we use that Splitter Muster from AK, but we also use Stone Grey from Vallejo. We mix it in at a 1:1 ratio, and you can see that I'm just adding in the detail on that helmet cover where there is thicker lines that protrude out, and also the very top of that helmet cover. I'm going to give that a little bit of extra detail. Now this particular helmet cover on the gunner has a little bit more detail, like little tabs that come off the side, so I'm going to be painting those as well and leaving that dark base colour around it to make them really pop a little bit more. And I also painted a bag in that colour. Then for the brown, I'm using Waffen Red Brown. This is for part of the Splinter scheme, and it's all about painting very straight and sharp patterns on the helmet, so zigzags and little areas. Try not to make them meet too much, just add in just random ones just all over the place, vary it up, and then once you've done that, you then want to add splitter mustard green spots from AK Interactive, and you literally add in like a rectangle and a square or different sharp shapes within that brown or next to that brown. Don't go too crazy, because in the actual scheme the brown is a lot more powerful than the green, and there's more of it, so you don't want to do too much green if you can avoid it. I'm not going to do the rain marks either, that's just overkill at this scale, and it actually looks unrealistic to my liking, at least anyway. So with that done, we can use light flesh again from AK Interactive as part of their flesh range. Vallejo do colours that are very similar, especially for the flesh. I think it's called basic flesh or something like that. So yeah, just you'll be able to find it. I can easily point you in the right direction as well if you want to know what they are. And then for Vallejo, I use flesh wash to wash that skin tone. You can see it's a lovely wash. It's one of my favourite Vallejo washes. And then we go back over that flesh with the same colour again. Now I'm picking up the nose, the cheekbones, the neck, the chin, the fingers, areas like that, and leaving that darker base colour around the edge of the nose, in the eye sockets, in the ears, around the edge of the ears, around the edge of the hands, in between each finger and toe, if you can see his toes, you know, you get the gist. And then to finish off that flesh, I use light flesh and highlight flesh at a 1:1 ratio. And now I'm picking out the cheeks and the nose again, but I'm reducing the amount of the surface area that I'm painting, and I'm paying particular attention to the areas that are really sharp, so like the very tip of the nose and right underneath the eye, the very fine fingertips, areas like that. Not too much though, you don't want to go too crazy. Now it's all about painting little details. Now your models are done, so I had a little sticker on the Panzerfaust, like what it was on there with a bit of black and white. You can also add in the Panzer Grenadier tabs on their shoulder tabs, whatever you call them. So yeah, all the insignia and that if you want to. And then that is it. So this is how I paint my Flames of War Germans. Now, in all honesty, it is a long video, but the process is actually really quick. I mean, I think to paint a stand of these, it's going to take about an hour and a half. And I think that's a really good achievement for the sort of quality that you're going to get out. So if you can take anything away from this, that'd be awesome. So let me know below how you found this video. Huge thank you goes out to Flames of War and the Battlefront team and Chris for sending me these samples, as well as all my channel members. You guys are absolutely awesome and you make videos like this possible. Let me know below, guys, how you found it, as I've already said, and what you would like to see in the next Flames of War video, because we've got a lot of 21st Panzer to cover, and I do have some new AK pen markers which might come in handy for that. But anyway, I'm going to leave it here and I will catch you at the next one.